So this is a common feeling, I think, among many parents who are just exhausted. Like this word exhausting is one that comes up a lot with parents, and rightfully so, right? It's an exhausting thing. It can be exhausting, especially when you feel like, in this way that this parent is feeling. So I'm exhausted for my kids complaining. This is so common, especially when you have siblings and they're complaining about each other, to each other, about you, you know. So this is very common. That's the first thing to know about everything we do and about each other. There you go. I just we do. They do. And here is the problem. There's one huge problem, one huge thing that I would change in this whole thing. And I'm going to change the color here. And it's words like this: everything we do, there's always an issue. There's never not an issue. It's getting to me. How do you teach resiliency but not shut down those feelings? Okay. So first of all, I appreciate you, this person, wanting to teach some resiliency. And then more importantly, recognizing that it's important to acknowledge their feelings, right? That's so important. It's so important that you wanted to include this. So I really acknowledge the person who posted this, that that's just a really important thing to keep in mind, right? The first thing I would say is that it starts with you. Focus on your own feelings now. Like, you don't want to shut down their feelings. That's beautiful. That's awesome. What about your feelings, right? What about accepting your feelings and releasing them? What about understanding that, okay, so I'm feeling exhausted. This is how you're feeling. I'm feeling exhausted. Cool. How about this? That's okay. You're feeling exhausted. That's okay. Okay. So there's nothing wrong with feeling exhausted. You're accepting that. And how is your self-care? That's what I would ask. I would ask, how is your self-care? Do you spend time with you in the morning? Do you acknowledge good things that you do in the day? Do you take stock of your own feelings? Do you write down in a journal? What do you do to take care of yourself and to show love? That's the first thing I would say. That's the first thing to do, is always assess yourself and how your self-care is and what you do for yourself. And the next thing I would say is, after you acknowledge yourself and do something for you, and that could be go outside for a walk. It could be sit in silence, maybe after the kids go to bed, or wake up before they get up and just sit in silence, to journal, to start meditating, things like this. Focus on something for you. That's number one. And also, let's stop saying things like everything we do, they argue about everything or complain about everything. What we pay attention to increases. What we pay attention to, we get more of. What we pay attention to amplifies in our mind, right? So if we are continually looking at and seeing and being frustrated by the complaining, and say, you complain about everything, guess what we do? We are inviting more complaining into our lives. Let's take our kids out of the equation. This is what I do for myself. So take them out of the equation. If I am focused on the complaining, I'm going to get more complaining, right? It's like if you go in your pantry and you have in mind, like, I want macaroni. You're going to go in, you're not going to see the other things that are on the shelf, maybe a couple things here and there, but our brains are designed. We have this thing called the reticular activating system that blocks out everything that's not in our direct focus, that's not important to us right now. If you say that everything is complaining, That's all you're going to see. So I would take this step. Start observing the times when they're not complaining, right? You suggest something and they don't complain this time. Like before, it would just be like, you just wouldn't pay it any attention. You wouldn't see it. But if you start seeing it, or you'd see it even worse, you'd see it and disqualify it and say, yeah, I'm surprised you didn't complain at that. Like that's inviting more complaints. You know what I mean? Or we don't see the good, right? So you suggest something like it's dinner time. They come and they don't complain. Dude, acknowledge that. Count that as a win. Tell them too. Count it as a win for you. Count it as a win for them. I acknowledge that right now you didn't complain. Dude, that's a win for me. And you guys didn't complain. That's a win for you. That's awesome. Right? So get these sorts of things. Start noticing the times when they don't complain, and you'll start seeing it more and more. And then that will reflect in their behavior. Thanks. I hope this helps. I'll see you in the next one.